Welcome to AI Rounds, your weekly dose of AI in medicine and education.
We are your hosts, Dr. Núria Negrão
and Dr. Morgan Leaf. Each week, we'll bring you a quick dive into the latest in artificial intelligence and how it's transforming healthcare, medical education, and medical communications.
From the tools changing how we teach, learn, and write, to breakthroughs shaping patient care. If it's new, exciting, or just plain useful, we're talking about it.
In just 10 to 15 minutes, we'll get you up to speed and maybe even spark your next big idea.
Let's make the rounds.
Hey, Núria, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Morgan. What about you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Thank you. You as well. You look really nice. I like your microphone stand. I'm jealous. I want to get one like that.
Okay, I'll send you the link. Then we
Thank
can have matching
you.
microphone stands.
That'd be awesome.
I'm really excited to dive into our first episode.
Yes, we've been talking about doing this for a few months now. So I'm very excited that we're finally starting. And hopefully everyone else will enjoy too.
Yeah, I think we're starting off with a bang too, because we're really diving into the topic that's at the heart of what a lot of people want to know, which is there's so many AI tools out there. What are the best ones for what I do? And since we're focusing on medical communications, scientific writing, those types of fields, I know you're the expert in each of these tools and what they can do to help us in the writing and communications field. So let's kick it off there with all the different tools that we have and what our options are these days and the differences and the pros and the cons. How's that sound?
That sounds awesome. Yeah, that is definitely a question that I get all of the time is which AI tools should I use? And if I only pay for one, which one do I pay for? I always get that question. And it's so hard. Let me tell you, for me, it's really hard to say pick this or pick that because they are always changing. So if today one of them is better at doing one thing, tomorrow it might be something else. So what I try to tell people all the time is if you can, pay month to month instead of paying for a yearly license. So that's just like the basic thing is pay month to month because then you can always cancel and you're not out of pocket of a lot of money.
That makes a lot of sense. And absolutely. This is a topic we could probably talk about every 6 months and give different answers, right?
Yes,
Quickly
exactly.
things change. Yeah. I personally, I'm very vanilla. I think I'm a Chat GPT purist.
Mm-hmm.
I have a subscription to Chat GPT. I use that the most. I find that it does the things that I need to do. I love the deep research feature.
Mm-hmm.
That just, well, okay, I'll back up a minute and say I loved the deep research feature. The last time I used it a couple of weeks ago, it gave me really crappy results. So I don't know if that's something that's changed or if that was just a fluke that day. But in general, I've found the deep research feature to be really useful when I'm researching different topics. I have made my own custom GPT in there that helps me edit my work and checks my grammar. So that for me does a lot of what I need to do, but I know there are many more options out there. So Núria, I know you use a ton of different tools for any given project. Let's go through that step by step so I can hear how you're using them. When you get a new project and you need to start researching information, where do you start?
So I still start with regular search. I usually start on PubMed and Google, and that lets me get an idea of what I can get there. It kind of like sets a stage for me. So I know from the way I used to work what it is that I consider that is true about this topic. And then I move on to more AI assisted tools.
So once you have your background information, then you probably want to do more deep research, I'm guessing?
Yes, exactly. So then what I do next is I usually go to Perplexity. I really like Perplexity. And I ask like more nuanced questions usually that are harder to, it's sometimes hard to get from PubMed and Google answers to certain types of questions. Like, for example, if I want to know, like, what are the competitors for drug X? If I just ask that to Google or PubMed, I'm not really going to get an answer. But if I ask Perplexity, I will get an answer. So I try to ask these questions that are like the questions basically trying to get the same information, but asking a question like as if I was asking to a human. That's the beauty of AI, is that it understands what you want and then it understands where to go get that information and it brings back information that is valid. And a lot of times I get sources that I hadn't gotten before just doing these quick perplexity searches like that.
And so once you have all of your materials, you found the pertinent papers and everything, what are you doing with that information then?
Okay, so before I even go to the next step, the next part, the last part of my search that I do is I run a couple of deep research queries. Usually I run it both on ChatGPT and on Gemini, and I might run just one for the whole project on both, or I might run like a couple versions to look at different parts of the project on both. Then I read those reports. So that kind of like sets the stage for me of like what is going on, yeah, what is known about this and all of that. I use that as like my first read into the topic, let's put it like that.
So you're asking the deep research tools to summarize the information for you to understand it?
Yeah, kind of. So like, for example, if I am, say I was looking the normal, right? Writing a needs assessment and you have a gap or you want to identify what are the gaps. I would say like in this topic in the US for patients like this, what are the healthcare gaps? And then I see what it surfaces, for example. So what I'm doing with that is with deep research, the AI tools like get more time to go look for information. And then they give you kind of like a white paper summary of that information. So a very in-depth summary of that information. And that helps me, again, find things that I hadn't found with just the keyword search, which is the normal search, and maybe find things that I wouldn't have found with questions because you don't always know which questions to ask, right? So if you ask like these broad questions, you can see what it surfaces and did it surface everything that I was expecting? Were there any surprises? And then you can go deeper on those.
Okay. And what's your next step after that? How are you integrating everything together?
All right. Okay. So then comes the next step. Usually if I am working with something new, what I do, the next step is go to Notebook LM. And Notebook LM, you can upload like all types of files. So I'll upload all of my sources, including if I got any YouTube videos that I want to add, if I got any slides or posters from conferences that I want to add, I add all of that. And then I kind of like use the preloaded questions that are on Notebook LM to help me start asking questions of all of this literature. And what is cool with Notebook LM is that it will show you where it's getting the information for its answers right on the same window. So you're not toggling between the PDFs and the web browser. So that kind of helps me read the papers faster in a way. And fact check all of the information and really gets me to a place where I know what is the story I want to tell.
Perfect. And I'm sure folks who are listening want to know how on earth to keep up with all of this information about what each system does. I know even with ChatGPT, for me, when it's coming out with different models and mini and numbers, and it's hard to keep up with what's what and what's good for what. I am a huge fan of Ethan Mollick's newsletter, which you introduced me to. That is what I use to keep up to date with what's new with the different systems. How are you keeping up to date with each of these applications and what they do?
So that is always the question, right? I think the answer is first is find the medium that you like. So I like podcasts. So the way I keep up to date, the most regular way that I keep up to date is that I have about 3 podcasts that are either weekly or daily about AI that I never miss. So that is my favorite way of getting knowledge about what's happening in the world of AI.
You going to tell us what those podcasts are?
Yes. So you have the AI, I think it is now called just the Artificial Intelligence Show. It used to be called something else with Paul Roetzer and Mike Put. I'm not going to know all the names, but here we go. But those two. And they kind of give you an idea of what's happening in the world of AI. So if you don't have time to read the news and understand the controversies and all of that, they keep a good ear down. They have a really cool Twitter list of people that they follow with all of the AI scientists, and they always summarize things really well. So that is to know what's happening in the world of AI. For tools themselves, I usually listen to the AI Daily Show, and he does, I can't remember his name, but he does a good job of like, not he talks about the news, but he also talks about new tools that are out there, and I use that to figure out like if I want to try something new or not. So, and then I have podcasts that are more for like, for example, AI in education, which I am very interested in. So there is also a daily show called the AI in Education podcast that I also listen to quite often. And there, what I really like is that he takes like examples about how to use AI, and then he shows how teachers and educators can adapt that for teaching students so that students learn and how to adapt to use it in the classroom, but also how to adapt it for actual teaching so that students actually learn. So I think that those three are really interesting for me. I also read, so I read Ethan Mollick and other people's AI newsletters, and then I'm on TikTok and I see the demonstrations that people do on TikTok. But what I always say is that you don't need to like it as much as I do, and you don't need to be spending so much time listening to it. You just need to pick one person that you trust and that in the medium that talks about it in the medium that you like, and just follow them. So yes, that's basically it.
Tell people how they can subscribe to your newsletter, Núria.
Okay, so if you, I'm trying to think where's the link now. I think if you go to LinkedIn, there's a link to subscribe to my newsletter. I talk about how to use different AI tools in medical writing specifically, and now we have this podcast with me and Morgan that's going to talk about the same thing.
Well, it's been so fun recording this first episode with you. I look forward to doing this every week. Have a great
Yeah,
day.
you too. Thank you. Bye bye.